Welcome everyone. Today it's Max and I doing a video on what we've been eating out of the pantry to use up what we have. Now I have to admit some of the things I've been eating out of the pantry have been so delicious. And then I started thinking, why did I let them sit there so long? Why did I not use them up? They're not only saving us money, they're rotating stock. Some of these things were newly expired or they're getting ready to expire, and they've just been taking up space. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that we have been eating this past month. And one of the things was I had a Lipton soup mix. One of those ones that was just chicken noodle soup with noodles, the little round noodles. Many of you that grew up in my era probably were fed that by your mothers when we didn't feel good. There wasn't Campbell's noodle soup in our pantry growing up. There was Lipton soup mix that was dried in the box. You added 4 cups of water, one little packet of the mix, and you made it on the stove, and it was so comforting when you didn't feel good. I still had a box of that. I had it in the RV actually, and I used up all of my ramen noodles that I had, and I thought, you know what? I don't need to go buy more ramen. I have that. I can have that. So I made that and I had it over mashed potatoes. Now I had it over real mashed potatoes for the first packet. That made me a couple of meals. And then I had it with a package of instant mashed potatoes that I had gotten for free from the Ibotta app this past holiday season. So that actually made me 4 meals. And I have to tell you, it was so good. One of the other things we made out of the pantry was some salmon, and this salmon's been in there for a while. It's kind of vacuum packed like the tuna. I had bought it in the dollar section when one of our stores still had it in the dollar section. It's not there anymore. And we had some salmon patties with lemon pepper and with crackers mixed in and with egg, and it was absolutely delicious. But getting some of this stuff out of our pantry and rotated and not having to go to the grocery store, that just puts money back in our pockets. And then we can save for maybe some other things that we find that are on sale. So some of the other things I found this month was cream of broccoli soup. I don't think I have ever eaten a cream of broccoli soup out of the can. When I bought it, it was on clearance for 99 cents. I stuck it in there thinking that maybe I would put it into some sort of a casserole when I was just here by myself since my husband is gluten-free, and I never did. Well, I had a little bit of fresh broccoli in the fridge. I had some Velveeta that my daughter had left here over the holidays. I put a little couple of chunks of that in there, and I pulled out a piece of frozen sourdough that I had in the freezer from Christmas that my son had made, and I had a delicious cream of broccoli soup. I made it cheesy. I had fresh broccoli in there. Oh my gosh. While I was eating that, I thought, why has this sat in there so long? I never even knew this could be this good out of a can, and it really hit the spot. I have a lot of dried beans in my pantry, and I like having dried beans as a backup for throwing something together rather quickly and being able to make it that same day and not have to thaw out any meat to do it. But sometimes just having pinto beans and cornbread, we have that a lot during the winter season, and sometimes I just want to have something a little bit different. But there's a lot of things we can make with those dried beans. Now, one of the things that I decided to make this past month was taco soup. We hadn't had it in a long time. I like to make it a little bit thicker so you can use it almost as a dip with your tortilla chips. And so I was able to use some dried beans that I had. I pulled out a Hidden Valley Ranch packet. I had some of those that needed used up. I also put in some taco seasoning, and I had a large can of Rotel that I had bought on clearance that was in my cabinet. And that way it kept me from putting in diced tomatoes and green chilies, and it met the quota for what I needed in that recipe perfectly, and just opening one can. It was so delicious. We haven't had taco soup in a number of years. It's one of the recipes I have in my Depression Era Cookbook. I really like it, but it's one of the ones that we just hadn't made. So this used up some things I had in the pantry, came up with a recipe I hadn't used in a while, and gave my husband some leftovers to take to work. And I always enjoy hearing him come home because the coworkers in his break room come in all the time and say, "Oh my gosh, that smells so good. What are you eating?" And it's always something we've made right here at home in the kitchen. Now, every now and then we will have something in our pantry that we just don't like. And when I bought some little tuna kits here a while back because I was using them to pack my lunch when I was gone for the day, I found that the sea salt saltines they had in there were just not good. They were very, very crisp, but they had no flavor, not even when you added the tuna on there. And I ended up using my own crackers for those tuna kits. But I didn't throw those crackers out because I can still use those. So I took them up to feed our donkey some treats. And he actually loved having those crunchy saltine crackers. Saltines are one of his favorites, but I'm not going to let anything go to waste. Somebody around here is going to eat it, even if it is our donkey. So before you throw something out, think about what else you can do with it. I also could have crunched them up and mixed them into something, but again, my husband is gluten-free, so Brownie got the crackers. Now, one of the things I started doing when I was staying in my RV these last 2 winters in Texas is I took a lot of food with me from home and I used it up when I was by myself in the RV. That taught me how little I actually needed. I bought very little groceries when I stayed down there, both of those times for 3.5 months. And I realized that I had been purchasing too much at home for 2 people when I could live 3.5 months buying hardly anything from the grocery store, just from things that I brought from my pantry. And what I started doing is I started keeping a list of the things I was using up that I had brought with me. And that was a huge motivator for me. So lately I've been doing that trick here at home. I've been making a list of things I have been using that are either expired, close to expiration, or have been sitting here a long time. And it's keeping me motivated to continue to do that. And it's also making me realize how very much I have had stored around here that has not been used. And by writing all of these things down and seeing that I'm using them up, I'm realizing I still haven't hardly made a dent in my pantry stock. So yesterday we made spaghetti and I used some gluten-free spaghetti. I used my last jar of pasta sauce that I had in my pantry. It was a jar that I kept pushing back because it wasn't one that we think is our favorites. And yes, I had to doctor it up. I had to add Italian seasoning. I had to add my homemade sausage seasoning. I had to add basil, oregano on top of the Italian seasoning to finally get it where it tasted okay. But we got that used up and that is now out of our pantry. So sometimes we have some of those things that we just push to the back because we know they're not our favorites. But I made myself use that up before I purchased more. And now I'm going to watch for it to go on sale. We just had spaghetti. We don't have a lot of tomato-based items around here that we eat on a regular basis, so we'll be okay to be without it until it goes on sale. So let me know, have you used up anything in your pantry lately that you're okay with using up and you're okay with just watching for it to go on sale? A lot of times I like to have 1 extra or 2 extra of something in my pantry, and I don't like to use the very last one, but in this case, it's okay. This morning, I made malto meal muffins. That will be something I will be able to eat every morning. I put it in a storage container, and that will be my breakfast for the next several days. It has wheat in it, so my husband can't have it, but I had malto meal, chocolate malto meal that I had taken with me in the RV. I'm now down to just enough left to maybe make 1 bowl of malto meal for myself at one point. But I'm trying to use up the last of a lot of these things things that have been stored. And it is shocking how far this really goes when we start using our imagination and actually digging in there and saying, okay, I'm not going to push this to the back anymore. I'm actually going to use it. I've even eaten a couple of canned soups besides the broccoli soup because we have a lot of canned soup here, but we don't really eat it. I always have it for just in case, and I always make homemade, fresh. We prefer it that way. But some of these have sat here for a while. So why not pull out that chicken and noodle soup in the can and eat that before I buy ramen the next time or before I go back and buy more Lipton soup mix? Those are the things that I'm trying to focus on this year. So let me know if you have been using some things up in your pantry this year, maybe some happy surprises like me, where you have found some things that are so delicious that now that you've eaten them, they're going on your watch list to catch them on sale next time. I think I'm putting that cream of broccoli soup on there just to watch to see if I can catch it again. That was phenomenal for a canned soup. Thanks for listening today. I hope I've inspired you to take a look in your pantry and use up some things that you have, and I hope that you will follow me in the next video.